There's a lot of blame game going on where we didn't usually see that before, and they just need to start maybe to get back to the basics a little bit.
I felt at times a lot of the fans, and listen, it's understandable by the way, a little bit too quick to turn on him.
I think he's made too many changes across the team. The defence is so shaky at the moment. Your main players like Wirtz and Salah and Isak, they're in survival mode.
We're 8 games in, 4 points off adrift from Arsenal. There's still a long way to go.
Shore up the back line and give us a presence from where to build from.
How do you think Mo would take to being the superstar at Liverpool and being told, oh yeah, next week away at Brentford, you're on the bench?
I think you've got to drop him. I think you've got to start taking him on after 60 minutes, if so.
He's just not having a good time at the moment, and his form has dipped. In sport in general, especially my sport, the minute you start finding your form, it all just falls back into place.
It's just crazy how confidence can impact a performance so drastically.
I still think Liverpool Football Club win the Premier League this season.
It's a big shout, and I hope you're right. I really do.
For that person, by the way, who kept commenting in the YouTube comments, he only wears the same jacket. I've got 2 new jackets, all because of you. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Inside Liverpool on talkSPORT's YouTube channel and on your smart TVs as well, where we will be reacting to a tough afternoon for Liverpool at Anfield, losing to Manchester United. 4 defeats in a row. It's a tough time, tricky time at the moment. So over the next 40, 45 minutes or so, we'll take a look back at the game, take a look back at the last couple of weeks, try and have a discussion, conversation about what's not going so well and what can be done in the coming weeks to try and hopefully get back to winning ways. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Sam Ellard. Delighted to say alongside me today a top team of former Liverpool winger, Champions League finalist Jermaine Pennant, 2-time British super middleweight champion, former pro boxer Paul Smith, and also talkSPORT commentator and reporter Ryan Bromilow. Guys, good afternoon. Jermaine, a tough day yesterday for Liverpool. Losing 2-1 to Manchester United, of course, 4 defeats in a row now. The first time we've lost 4 in a row in all competition since November 2014, when Brendan Rodgers was manager. What did you make of the game yesterday, Jermaine?
Yeah, it's a difficult one to take. Obviously, Liverpool were the better team, more chances. Gakpo hitting the post 3 times on another day. You know, one of those go in, and he also scored as well. And the last 9 minutes of the game, he missed an absolute sitter. You know, I think Liverpool winning 2-0, 2-1, 3-0, he scores that. But the magnitude of the game, the lateness of it, the importance of that header, I think it got to him and he missed it. But another day he scores that as well. So overall disappointing, but we created a lot of chances to come away with the 3 points in that game. And I think we're looking now and we're seeing our main players, our big players that we've relied on so much over the decade, the last 8 years, are not showing up at the moment, and it's costing us.
So I think offensively yesterday, Jermaine, we obviously clearly created enough chances to win probably a couple of games of football. But a big concern is how open we are defensively. And it's felt like pretty much from game 1, when Bournemouth came to Anfield, scored 2, it feels like we haven't really been able to rectify that over the last couple of weeks. Why do you think that is, and what can be done to try and change that?
I think we've seen this from the get-go of pre-season. We couldn't keep a clean sheet in pre-season. Yes, we're scoring goals, but we wasn't keeping a clean sheet. And once you've got that style and that momentum and that confidence of always leaking goals, it's hard to all of a sudden then switch things around and go, right, let's start being solid. We've seen a great performance defensively against Arsenal. But apart from that, it's been less desirable. We've lost, obviously, key players defensively. We all talked about Trent going forward, but we criticised him defensively. Are we looking back now going, do you know what? He was actually a very good defender now.
I definitely thought in the last 18 months to 2 years, he got a lot better and a lot more reliable defensively than when he first came into the team as a teenager.
Yeah, and I think Milos Kerkez, yes, he's looking a little bit out of place in a big team alongside big players, but I think he needs a little bit more help. I think Virgil is looking at the moment, when I'm watching him, there's a lot of blame game going on where we didn't usually see that before. Yeah, I think the team's just in a bad place at the moment. You know, confidence is probably a little bit low after 4 defeats in a row. And they just need to start maybe to get back to the basics a little bit and, start rebuilding again.
Paul, what's causing him more discomfort at the moment? Liverpool's performances or the shoulder?
having to take the stick after saying Man United weren't really anything to worry about last week on the show.
A great debut last week from you, Paul, right?
Yeah,
welcome to Inside Liverpool.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome to football on talkSPORT, basically.
I'm loving this show now. I came in for the boxing to give me expert opinion on boxing and ends up giving me non-expert opinion on football. I'm being absolutely slaughtered for it. No, listen, it was...
You were there yesterday, Paul, weren't you? What was it like being inside the stadium yesterday?
The atmosphere was decent at the start, and to be fair, we stayed behind the team, but I felt at times a lot of the fans, and listen, it's understandable, by the way, a little bit too quick to turn on them, a little ball going astray here or there, and you can hear the usual shouts and that, but all in all, it was a frustrating day. It was what we spoke about on the show last time. You know, I'm not expecting too much from Liverpool this season. I keep getting the comments on you're not expecting something when you spent that much money. I get that, but after all the stuff that's gone on and the new players trying to gel in, it's going to take a little while for us to sort of click together, as Jermaine just said. But I think we will. I do think it'll come. It's just such a frustrating and painful day to do it against your biggest rivals in Man United.
Right, your main takeaways from Sunday?
I think we just lack coherence all over the park, really. I think he's made too many changes across the team. He's chopped and changed the midfield. He's obviously got 2 new full-backs in. I mean, Bradley's obviously, he wasn't our main full-back last year. And that makes the defence look shaky. The midfield is a little bit out of sorts. McAllister's not on form. Salah's not on form. The front line's completely different. So we can't really build any consistency off the back of that. And what I'm a little bit concerned by more than anything else is, you know, we need to have a greater grip on the game. You know, I understand what he's saying. You could easily make an argument that Liverpool could have won that game 3-1, but they could equally have lost it 3-1. And with the components and the investment that we brought in the summer, that really shouldn't be the case. We should have the quality. We certainly do have the quality to overpower teams like Man United. Other teams have done it this year. And we didn't show that. And I think, you know, it's large down to the fact that, you know, the defence is so shaky at the moment that the sort of your main players like Wirtz and Salah and Isak, they're in survival mode. They're just running back and forth, you know, at every opportunity. So that's a frustration for me, really, because there's just no stability whatsoever to this side, and I think
we've been saying that, haven't we? Though, pretty much from the first show of this season, we used the word lack of control. I mean, you know, I appreciate new players have come in, but is it a little bit surprising that we're, you know, 7-8 league games into a season now, a couple of Champions League games, and that, you know, Slot and the team maybe haven't found out a way to almost be better? Yeah,
he doesn't look like he's landed on his first choice team, and you see that by him dropping Wirtz. I think if you're playing Wirtz, you should play Isak, and equally, if you play that midfield 3, then you should possibly, of last year, then you should play Ekitike. So that was a little bit curious to me. I think maybe...
And Ekitike, right, probably been the one signing who's looked the best, I mean, and he's the one not playing, isn't he?
You've got to feel sorry for Ekitike, haven't you? Out of all of the players that I think has coped the best with the transition and has hit the ground running, it's him. But I feel like he can create chances out of nothing. Whereas Wirtz and Isak rely a bit more on a system. I feel like Ekitike was popping up all over the place when he came on. He's got a sharpness and an energy to his game. For me, I think the easy fix is if you look at the 2 full-backs. You know, Kirk's at 21, Bradley's 22. I mentioned on this show a couple of weeks ago, I would like to see Gomez come into that back line on that right side. Just
right back.
Offers a bit more experience. Yeah. Even maybe Robertson on the left, just to shore up the back line and give us a presence from where to build from, because at the moment Kirkes is really struggling and he feels out of his depth, and Bradley, we're not seeing the best out of him. So if that defence is shaky and shoddy, we're always going to be looking that way rather than forward.
So you go back to your playing days. Can you ever remember a summer where half a dozen plus new players would come into a team? And do you almost, as a player, is that difficult when almost is, you know, 6, 7, 8 players are coming in, half a dozen in the starting 11? Can that almost sometimes be too much and unsettle the team?
It can be, yeah. And, you know, every player is different with the timescale of how they gel and get used to their teammates and the style of play and what's required from them, from the manager. And some people can just, like Dr. Water, just take it straight away. Some may take half a season. You know, we look at Caicedo. When he joined Chelsea, we was like, oh, we dodged the bullet there, because he looked awful, you could say. But now people are talking about probably one of the best defensive midfielders in the league. So some players take longer to gel than others. And we've got a number of players who are coming in. Some, Ekitike is being straight away fire, scoring goals and look settled, and the other players are still warming in. So yeah, it does take time to know your teammates, to know their strengths, to know their weaknesses, to when you've got to help out, when you don't have to. And that all comes with on the training pitch and playing games. You know, we're 8 games in, 4 points off adrift from Arsenal. There's still a long way to go, but you know, you don't want to be in the situation early on talking about, you know, are we gonna get better? How can we get better? But you know, there is time.
Going to the game, Paul. When you've been going to Liverpool for many years, we're walking to the ground in the build-up. Do you still think Liverpool United has that same kind of hatred and heated rivalry as it did many, many years ago? Or do you think it's changed a little bit with, you know, United being so good, Arsenal being so good, and now a little bit vice versa?
It's probably changed a little bit. To be honest with you, though, I was on a train from Leeds coming home when I'd been commentating the night before in the bare knuckle boxing. And the train from Leeds to Liverpool stops at Manchester Piccadilly.
But that was fun.
And a few lads got on, shouted, "Are you that boxer?" And I burst out laughing. It was one of my friends who's a Man United fan. They'd all go in the game, and I'm standing there, just having a conversation with them. But I was asking them, literally, obviously looks hysterical now. Would you take a draw today? Like, I'm genuinely curious to know what your feeling is as a United fan. And they were all like, look, we just want to win. We haven't won here for years now. And if we can just get a win, I'll take anything that we get here, because it's obviously at Anfield, and obviously we've seen what happened. But no, it's not as horrible and as toxic as it used to be, I think, and rightly so. I don't think any game should be like that. But I always laughed, and I said last week on the show, which I now regret, I think they're like what we were like in probably the 90s when we were struggling at the time, and we had a long time without winning the league, and they're not looking like they're going to win the league. Obviously, they've had a win against us, but they've had the problems and they've had the troubles, and I think as a result, it's probably humbled a few of the fans like it did ours a little bit, you know.
No, but I think you're probably right in saying that. But if you look over the last 2 seasons, the last 3 games against Liverpool, Man United, has probably been their best 3 games in 2 years.
Yeah, that's fair.
The best they've ever played. And unfortunately for Liverpool, it's been against Liverpool. You know, with the 4-3 FA Cup, fantastic performance, great result. I know it was a better team, but still they got the job done. The 2-2 coming back,
in the same
that's probably
season,
one of their best away performances. And now this one here. Over the last 2 years, that's probably their best 3 performances.
That's fair.
And
it's hard to argue with that, isn't it? Yeah. So look, we're speaking a lot about systems, and that's up to Arne Slot to try and get, you know, the right, whether it's 4-3-3, 4-2-3, and how did you get Wirtz in the team? But something, Jermaine, that is not questionable is there's lots of great players who are out of form at the moment. You're a top player yourself. You would have played at Liverpool with some of the very best players, you know, Stevie, Torres. When you're at Arsenal, you would have played with some great players. When a really, really good player, let's say Mo Salah here as an example, is out of form, how do you think is the best way for him to get back into form? Is it take him out of the fire line for a couple of weeks? Or do you think just keep playing and playing and playing him and that spark will come back? What's best for Mo Salah here?
Look, there comes a point where if something's not working, you've got to tweak and give it a change. And it doesn't matter how... Look, there are certain players who, no matter what, will be on the pitch. If Steven Gerrard had a few 6 or 8 game run of not putting in great...
You're not dropping Steven Gerrard, are you?
You don't drop him. But you've got to start now taking into consideration of the age of Mo Salah. As you get older as a professional footballer, each season that goes by, as you get older, things start declining. You know, whether it's a little bit of your pace, if it's your finishing, your first touch, little bits start declining, start deteriorating, and that's just sadness and that's just life. And he's not getting any younger. He's 33 years of age, and are we seeing now the era of is undroppable, unplayable? You can't sub him. For me, I think we've reached that peak with Mo. I'm his biggest advocate. I'm his biggest fan. He's one of the best players Liverpool have ever had, and I love him to bits. And I'm so glad that I've been seeing what he can do for Liverpool. But in his last 8 games, he's had 1 goal, which was a penalty against Burnley, and he's had 11 shots in 8 games. And if you look over Mo's time, those figures would never come anywhere near. And this is a sign of, I'm not the same Mo anymore. And this is a time where now I think for Liverpool Football Club, what's best Is it someone who's been a great servant, gave you great things, but can't at the moment live to that at the minute? So I think you've got to drop him. I think you've got to start taking him on after 60 minutes, if so, and playing someone else out there. Give him a new lease of life. Think, oh, yeah, I'm not playing great. Well, if I get my chance again, I'm going to show you Mo Salah is. You've got to ignite something because you're putting him out there week in, week out, and he's still giving you the same performances. He's got nothing to really fight for anymore. He's got nothing to fight for. He's won the league. He's lost. He's, put his close friends. He needs to come away, sit on the sideline for a game or two, and then maybe come back in firing.
His comments reflected that a little bit. It's interesting that he said that he as he said, he's not got much to fight for. His comments actually reflected that at the start of the season, where he said last year, he was the one that wants to spearhead the charge, and this year he said it's more about the team. That's quite telling, that, isn't it? If you think in the broader sense of how he's feeling about this season. And I just think the thing on Salah is when he's so far up the field on that right side and he's not producing that end, then he gives us a real problem. And he gives us a frailty on that.
If he's not tracking back, we're scoring 3 goals every game.
You look how many
Look
how many times though we see our fullbacks one-on-one.
Yeah.
But our wingers, they're being doubled up on.
Yeah.
You look at Arsenal, you see Saka coming back, helping out.
Yeah.
We don't really get that with ours, especially on the Salah side.
Interesting. Yeah, Mo Salah says he hasn't got a lot to fight for, but this is a guy that's a Liverpool legend. He obviously loves Liverpool Football Club. So he's not a player that's going to down tools, is he? He's not a player that I can imagine turn up to training on Monday morning thinking...
There's a lot of records there that he still wants to break as well, isn't there? Don't forget. There's a lot of records that are within touching distance that he could break, scoring records at the club and in the Premier League as well. So you would assume that he will and does want to break them anyway, as long as he goes on in the league.
But how do you think Mo Salah is as a polo? Because I don't know how you would have reacted to getting dropped, whether you throw a tantrum or whether you take on. How do you think Mo would take to being the superstar at Liverpool and being told, oh yeah, next week away at Brentford, you're on the bench?
Look, no player likes to be dropped or be on the bench. Doesn't matter if you're a superstar or you're just someone coming through the system. He won't take it lightly, he won't enjoy it, but he will have to respect it because it's the manager, so he'll respect the manager's decision. And rightly so, there'll be a conversation saying, look, we just need to shore up a little things, we need to try something different. I'm going to give X, Y, Z a chance, whoever may play out there. But you got to just deal with it and accept it. But yeah, he won't be happy, but maybe he might need that little hunger, that
kick
little
up the backside,
that little anger inside him, that little fire to reunite. Goes, okay.
Yeah, and Paul, this is the guy. There's no it's not like last season. He was a bit like, is he coming towards the end? This was a guy that last season probably had his best season in Liverpool. So I take your point, Jermaine, about as he gets older, but it was 3-4 months ago that he was coming off the back of his greatest ever season for Liverpool.
Yeah, and he had a lot to prove last season because he was after the new contract he was trying to make. Obviously, the club understand just how important he was to the club, and I agree. I think he is massively important to Liverpool Football Club, but he's just not having a good time at the moment, and his form has dipped, and mentally, I'm not sure everything's right. Obviously, with what we've spoken about time and time again with Jota, and I know we keep talking about it, but it's so understandable when you look at things. But I think Jermaine knows a hell of a lot more about this than me. But in sport in general, especially my sport, the minute you start finding your form, it all just falls back into place. And I think with someone like him, it probably will happen that way. I think he maybe just needs a couple of good things to go his way and a bit of good fortune to go his way. We all need a bit of luck, but is it wrong to say that he shouldn't get that opportunity now because of the previous 8 games? Because I think he'd be well within his right to be dropped. But as I say, listen, that's an unenviable job for Arne Slot, not me, thankfully.
What about Arne Slot, Ryan? I mean, last season, he came in. I don't think anybody thought we were going to win the league last season. He changed things in terms of the way we played, a bit of extra control. The tempo was different. Great tweaks like Gravenberch playing deeper. Does Arne Slot look a little bit confused maybe himself at the moment? Like all these new players have come in and maybe he's just not sure how to get the best out of us. Is it 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3? And he almost feels like he's trying to work it out week by week. Is that fair?
I think his lineup looks very confused.
And his subs as well?
Yeah, I mean, when you're having to throw on a 4-2-4, you've not managed the game in the first 75 particularly well. Sure. Just chucking subs on and hoping that they're gonna bail you out of the problems that have been created, then I think that's problematic. I think maybe, there seems to be a stubbornness to his comments in his post-match interviews, which is a little bit concerning. I think the first time we've seen this from Slot.
In what way?
In that I think he's focusing a little bit on the margins and certain moments in the game when actually, we're not giving ourselves a basis for sustained attacks, really. It is so end-to-ends that there is a chance that, like we had the first part of the season, things went our way. But equally, it's on a knife edge because it can go the other way. So, I think he's quite stubborn with his philosophy at the moment. And I'm not quite sure, I was going to ask Jermaine about this, I'm not quite sure what he's actually trying to do just yet. I don't know what the build-up is. I don't know what his sort of idea is between the two wing-backs because he's not really getting the best out of them. They seem to be sort of stifled in the system at the moment. I think when we looked most threatening against United was in the first, I'd say about 10 to 20, where we kept sort of running through their midfield, Gravenberch with that sort of breaking the lines from sort of the centre-back position through and playing quick balls into Gakpo. But when you've got Ekitike, Isak, Salah, Wirtz and Gakpo's getting the best out of that system, doesn't seem that that's working what he's trying to do anyway. Unless that is what he's trying to do, which would be...
It is, I mean, I'll ask you that, but it is when you're watching the Liverpool team, it is, as Ryan rightly says, you are sometimes there scratching your head.
Yeah.
At what the build-up play is supposed to look like, what we're supposed to try and be doing, Jermaine. Is that fair?
It is. I think what it is with him, when you have a solid pre-season, you've got your whole team, you've got a style, philosophy, DNA, this is what we're doing. Right now, he's got a striker, British record, so he has to use him, but he's working on the go, as in he's using him, playing him time, but as a pre-season, as in he's trying to get him up to match fitness rather than maybe starting Ekitike. He's thinking, well, if I leave Isak off, he's still playing catch-up. I'm going to try and use him, play him, try and get him up to speed because he's a record signing as well. And the way he's got our star players who are not performing, with Salah, McAllister, one of our greatest players of the season, and Virgil, all not working together at the moment. He's literally just playing on the go. He's like I said, managers have their system, have their fundamentals to go out and they can just change a little bit here. But with game by game, he's working, trying to find out what works, what's not working, tweaking this, tweaking that. Oh, he's not playing well, let's put him out, let's give this. At the moment, he's not got a solid plan. He's literally working game by game, seeing which works, that works. And you're not going to get that cohesion. Things are not going to sit properly and you're going to find leaks and we're just finding out game by game.
And interesting, in the last 3 games, the Palace, Chelsea, United game, we went 1 down, we get the equaliser, and then we can see late on. And I feel like, because Man City winning 5 out of 6 titles, kind of set new heights for consistency and getting to 100 points, getting to 98 points. We obviously won season 97 points and didn't win the league ourselves. I think it almost feels like for the last few years, every game in the Premier League has to be a win. Like you can't always settle for a draw anymore. I don't know whether, Paul, maybe, do you think that needs to change maybe? And there's your game where maybe, let's say Chelsea away, we get to 1-1, not park the bus, but maybe look to be a little bit more defensive rather than go for the win?
I couldn't tell you tactically because I'm not a footballer, but what I was saying about the fans is that's what it feels like for me. All of a sudden, we go down, everyone's like, it's turning on them straight away. And we have a lot of fans. And listen, it's not my job to tell fans how to react and how to support the team, by the way. But we go 1 goal down, all of a sudden they're turning on them. Like we should be winning every game. In not the old days, but recently Man City have set a standard, and Liverpool, by the way, in these title races where it's small margins. But the old Premier League titles, or the old league titles, you'd lose 3-4 games a season and still win the league. It's not like, it doesn't have to be exceptional every time. You don't have to win every game, but recent times and recent standards have said that you probably do have to win most of your games. You can only afford 1 or 2 losses a season, and that's unfortunate. But I think this season it could be one of them again where it is small margins. But I'm not overly worried as yet. But there is certainly things to be worried about.
And the atmosphere inside Anfield, is it just one of those where you almost sometimes we go a goal down and you almost want that's the time to almost back the players, if anything.
They did back the players, to be fair. As soon as the first goal went in, I could hear them singing from the Kop. They were singing around me in the main stand as well. It was supporting. It's just a little bit faster turn for me. As soon as something goes wrong, there's a little bit like a little groan here or there, which we're not quite used to. But that's testament to what's going on at the moment, the times that we're in at the moment.
Yeah, I think that first goal going in was an absolute shell shock for everyone in the stadium, on the pitch, staff, everyone. It was like a real dagger to the heart. It was like, oh, Man United have scored within a minute. Like, oh my God.
Do you have any complaints?
And the recovery of that, it was kind of difficult. I don't think they recovered it for a good 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. Do you have any complaints about the goal? There was obviously McAllister went down with a head injury. Referee didn't stop the game. United to go on the score. I guess the rules say if there's a head injury, the ref's supposed to stop the game. But is it one of those?
Look, it's here or there, 50-50. He could have given it. I think if it was because it happened so quick. He went down for a head injury. Next minute, the ball gets played through. It's a goal.
Yeah.
If it was 15 to 20 seconds later on, I think the game would have just stopped, as you see. But the timing from getting the ball played through, him going down and scoring, was it was difficult to really kind of pull it back.
Any complaints, boys, about that?
No, I think you tend to see in those situations it's a prolonged period of time, isn't it? Where there's a head injury and plays continue to such an extent where then it gets pulled back. And again, look, you can't... when we've got so much quality in the side, it does feel remiss to be picking on certain situations and pointing as them as the problem when there's it feels like there's lots of tiny cracks everywhere that's creating this entire wobble. It's not one or two instances that are going against us. I don't think we're too far away from winning games again, but winning them comfortably and with an identity and a way of confidence. We feel quite some distance away from that at the moment.
Is it time just to give Florian Wirtz now a run again? Because I think we're seeing in the last few weeks real glimpses of the quality, the technical quality of Florian Wirtz. And I know what you boys think, but I've got absolutely no doubt that Alexander Isak, proven Premier League striker, is going to score a bundle of goals to Liverpool. And I've also got absolutely no doubt in my mind that Florian Wirtz is going to come good. It's almost just now, let him play as a 10, give him a run of games, and that form's going to come, isn't it?
Without a shadow of a doubt. I don't know why we're questioning Florian Wirtz. I get it, he's not scored or he's not assisted yet, but if you look at the bigger picture, what he actually does, he's created the most chances in the league so far. I think if against Chelsea, set up Salah twice, a through ball, and then a little cheeky...
And one of them was a great touch, wasn't it?
And a cheeky little back heel, which, another day, Salah scores. Yet last night, against Man United, a little cheeky deft touch for Chiesa for the assist. He's doing this game in, game out. Things before the assist, things before the person actually scores. But at the moment, they're not finishing them off. He gets in great positions. He passes the ball at the right time. He doesn't hold on to it so it's too late so everyone's back. For me, it's a fantastic play and I'm seeing it all, but people obviously are not seeing the end goal.
You know about the pre-assist? I've got an image in my head. I'm sure it was you on the right wing, of Gerrard just playing like a diagonal ball forward to you. And you've made the run from the right-hand side. First time volley across the face of goal. And Crouch or Cout might put the ball in the back of the net.
It was Crouchy.
Did you remember that though?
It was against Arsenal, I think.
It was against, okay. Yeah. I mean, the ball from you was great, but then the ball from Gerrard over the top diagonal, just perfection, right?
All those things wouldn't happen if he didn't do that. That goal wouldn't have scored.
Yeah.
So that's just as important. Those kind of balls are just as important as the final ball for the person to score.
What's going to happen at right back, boys? Because Trent goes, Frimpong comes in, you assume he's going to be a straight replacement. Maybe not so much. We've got Bradley who's been playing. You suggest Gomez should start. Some people I'm seeing maybe think Szoboszlai could go at right back and maybe move into midfield. What do you think is the best option moving forward, Paul?
For me, I'm looking at Bradley, obviously, and it's difficult because you trying to compare him with an unbelievable creative player in Trent Alexander-Arnold.
So you're missing Trent more than people maybe thought we were going to?
I think any team would probably miss Trent. That's just, again, it's just my opinion as a fan. I think any team would miss Trent with his creativity. Bradley obviously won't have that creativity that Trent has, but what he lacks, hopefully Bradley will add a bit more to. I didn't think he was that bad yesterday, Bradley, from watching where I sat in the stands, and I haven't watched any match of the day or replays or anything else, and I will watch them, but I think any team in the league or in across all the European leagues would miss someone like Trent Alexander, and we probably are.
What he does at right back, I mean, no other right back in the world can do that, can they, in terms of defensive point of view, those balls he can play through first time for Salah?
No, we tried to replace his creativity through Wirtz, haven't we? I think that's the logic behind his acquisition. I think the reason why I suggest Gomez is just to bring a bit of experience to the back line, because it looks very shaky at the moment, and every opposition player seems to be citing the full-backs as an issue.
Yeah.
So I suppose if you shore that up, that would be helpful in a broader sense. And also, I think for set pieces, I think he offers us more of a presence in the box as well. Gomez, he come on against Arsenal and he was terrific in seeing out the game. So I'd like to see him utilise a bit more. I don't like the idea of, especially in a team that's trying to find its way, playing too many players out of position or chopping and changing doesn't add to that.
But sometimes, like the Chelsea game, we ended up with like a Gravenberch at centre back. We ended up with Sabozlai right back. It was like half a dozen players almost not in their right position.
He's trying to solve the issues.
Yeah, that was against Chelsea. I didn't understand that. We had Gravenberch playing centre back, Sabozlai right back. When we had Gomez and Frimpong on the bench. Yeah. I think he made a massive mistake and we got punished for it.
Do you think with Bradley it's maybe more of a confidence thing? Because for Northern Ireland, the international break, he was outstanding. Do you think maybe, when he's out there knowing, he's got to fill the boots of Trent, he's got lots of people targeting him, so Garnacho go after him, didn't he, in the last game? Also, for a young kid, it's a confidence thing perhaps?
Well, it's always a confidence. Football is, the biggest thing with that is confidence. If your confidence is glowing and you're beaming and you can't wait to get back out there, that's half the battle. Right. Confidence in football is massive, it's key. Because you think that nothing can go wrong. The ball comes over, you think, yeah, I've got this, and it works. I can see a gap here, you could put it in there. It's just crazy how confidence can impact a performance so drastically. So yeah, confidence is key. But also, look, he's playing to his best. He's giving his all, At the end of the day, his attributes are his attributes, and he's a good defender. Going forward, there's some ifs and buts there.
He hasn't quite got the understanding of Salah, has he yet?
Not yet.
Sometimes gets in his way.
Not yet. I think, like I said, but I think we're still questioning who is the right person there. Obviously, I think Frimpong gives you a little bit more going forward. You see, when he came on, some absolutely blinding balls he put in the box, and he also set up Gakpo for that sitter that he should have really finished. Look, these players are at the moment, going to make mistakes, are going to take a little bit of time. And I think Frimpong is a good player going forward, and defensively, at times looks a bit edgy, but so did Trent at times. But we've got to weigh up the pros and cons there and see, for now, find out what is the best solution and what's going to work for Liverpool to get them kick-starting again.
It just feels like a collision point at the moment between sort of ideals and the outcomes. We need to get points on the board. We've lost 3 now in the league, 4 overall. And I feel like the bedrock of our success last year was the pragmatism. In the first half, we shut teams out. It always used to be quite a straightforward half. It used to be 0-0 or 1-0. We'd go into the interval with a lead, and that then builds confidence. So I think my biggest concern more than anything else is that he's got so many front-footed players. He's got players that are letting him down at the moment because Kirkes is not in form. I feel like he's out of his depth on that left side. McAllister's not been the same McAllister as of last year, and the same with Salah. So you've got, and then that influences other people's performances. Even Virgil yesterday, he's the epitome of that. That first goal, the way he tries to defend that, he's all at sea. You've got to play to the whistle, and then it's nonchalant. He's got no interest in getting back. He's just sort of pointing at Canate to make the challenge. So for me, I think it's more about making sure that we're a bit more pragmatic. And we might just have to cop for the fact that we're not going to squeeze all of these new signings in. Yeah. There's going to have to be a fall guy. And there's so many new recruits. You're going to have to pick 2 or 3 that you're going to stick for the next 5-10 games.
Who should that be then?
Just stick to them. Wirtz and Isak seem to be the guys. I mean, there's an argument for Ekitike to come in on either side, personally. And I would like to see someone like Gomez come in at a fullback. They would be my suggestions. That keeps Szoboszlai in the sort of the running power that you get from him in midfield. Gravenberch, I would probably drop McAllister. So you'd have a midfield 3 of Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Wirtz. Yeah. Gakpo, I think he always performs at Anfield, but away from home, I don't see much of him. I think he's only scored 2 goals in 2025 away from home. So I don't think you really lose anything if you bring somebody in on that side. And then you've got that old question around Salah: do you drop him or do you Do you persist with him? So, you know, I just think he's got a few fundamental issues that he's got to solve first before he starts talking about the margins, because the margins, you know, those margins are going to continue to happen on a regular basis, and we're going to continue get more and more frustrated about these individual situations if we don't solve the bigger problems.
Another player that seems to only ever come off the bench is Federico Chiesa. I mean, every time he comes off the bench, in the last year and a bit, he always seems to make a difference, doesn't he? But it almost feels like, I mean, we've had this conversation a lot on this show, Jermaine, about Chiesa. It feels like Slot's never really, even last season when we didn't have, you know, Wirtz and Isak and Ekitike, just never really seemed to at any point fancy them, giving him a run in the team. Does that surprise you?
Well, every time he comes on, like you said, it does.
He makes something happen, doesn't he?
Makes an impact. And I think, but the thing is with Slot, when he started him in games where it's not really massively competitive, like, you know, for Southampton or the FA Cup Plymouth away. He started
I think he was scarred by that game, wasn't he?
He started
anybody that played in that Plymouth game, Slot went, see you later. You're not playing for the club ever again.
And these games can be frustrating and difficult at times. But it's difficult to just give someone a start and expect him to explode. They need a consistency of games to get the momentum in, and he's just not giving Chiesa that. He's using him a lot. You make a big impact for me as a sub. I'm just going to probably keep doing that for right now.
You know, guys, it's been 4 defeats, hasn't it? I feel like I want to lift the mood a little bit here, right? Because we're all looking a little bit down. We know it's been a tough day yesterday. But look, Paul, come on. Liverpool Football Club are the Premier League champions. Arne Slot came into this club last season, taking over from a legendary manager and guided us to the Premier League. We've got too many good players in this team, don't we, for it not to click. So I trust the manager to get things sorted. Isak's going to still score 20 goals. We're going to see the best of Florian Wirtz. Ekitike enter on the left-hand side. This team is too good to not... I still think Liverpool Football Club win the Premier League this season.
It's a big shout, and I hope you're right. I really do.
I wasn't quite the enthusiasm I was hoping for there, Paul. I know you've got a sore arm, mate, but come on, Paul.
As isolated the abuse I've had on social media today, I'm going to keep it nice and conservative. No, listen.
I seen you make Gary Neville now.
I said about Liverpool, the recruitment or the team, the whole technical director, whatever. They're not stupid. You know more than me on this. They've put the amount of money into Wirtz and the amount of the analysis that they've had to do just to watch him. They more or less know that he's going to make it. Everyone around him, all the top players and the top managers, you know a hell of a lot more than me, are saying it, and that's why I was buzzing when Jermaine just said that I think he's going to make it, and I'm very confident when I see him because of what I see in a player. I think he looks exceptional, and I think he'll come right. I think it will click together. It's just taking a little bit of time for these new players to click together, but once they do, then we should.
And that can be normal, right?
We should be.
That can be normal.
Absolutely. Taking time to, like I said, new surroundings, new culture of football, new style of football, something you never had a taste of before. It all takes time. You know, we've had some great players come over here, and you know, half a season until we've actually, you know, really seen what they can do. You know, Thierry Henry took half a season to really kickstart his career at Arsenal. So the best players that have graced the Premier League, some of them have not just came here and absolutely lit it up from the first game that they've touched, you know, across the white line. It does take time, especially when you're in a massive club like Liverpool. Not only is it your personal pride and your ability that you've got to try and adhere to, it's the club, it's the history, it's what comes with it. Every single game has to be massive. So,
and did you feel that when you came to the club?
Oh, absolutely. I've been at teams where I go into a game and there's not any worry. It's like, okay, you want to win, and if you lose,
name names.
We probably all of them apart from Liverpool.
Birmingham fans and Stoke fans, we apologise, by the way. Honestly, he doesn't mean that.
No, but when you're at Liverpool, it's like every game is a must. It's like we got to win.
And you must feel that, especially like being in the city.
Of course.
Would you almost not go out after a defeat and that sort of stuff?
You wouldn't like to. Sometimes I did, but no, you don't want to. You don't, you know, like as a fan, like your weekend's ruined. Like this week's going to be all run until we win again, and it's the same with the players. They put it behind them because they think, right, yeah, everything's done. They go home to their wives and partners, and they're miserable, and the kids like go to bed, not playing with you, and then they wait till the next game to then put it all right.
Yeah. Good job. I'm single. Imagine me. I'd come home to an empty house, wouldn't I? It'd be an absolute bloody nightmare.
Hey, you got a new jacket now?
Hey,
Celine Dion on.
Honestly, for that person, by the way, who kept commenting in the YouTube comments, he only wears the same jacket. I've got 2 new jackets, all because of you. You know who you are, okay? There we go. Expensive, these jackets. Goodness me. Right, good thing is though, Ryan, hopefully it's a good thing, we don't have to wait long, do we, for Liverpool to play again, because we're going to play midweek Champions League Frankfurt, then in the league, Brentford. We've got a cup game against Palace, we've got league games against Villa, Champions League game against Real Madrid, and away game against Man City, all before the next international break, by the way. So some tough games in there, but some really exciting games.
A few easy games to these way back.
I think at the moment, no game would be easy for us at the moment. I think even Wolves would give us the game at the moment. But I mean, you do look at those games on paper, and they are all. I mean, I guess there shouldn't be any easy games in the Premier League and the Champions League, but I mean, they're all pretty tricky, aren't they?
I'm looking forward to the game on Wednesday because I want to see Ekitike start going back home to his own club. You get that Wirtz start back into his country. His country.
Oh, this is good.
And the football. So he'll feel like at ease. He'll be like, oh yeah, what we've seen when he was at Borussia Dortmund. Really, them to light it up, get that confidence. That he score, Wirtz get an assist, take it into the weekend. That's what I want to see. Them two must start.
Ryan, you're going to be there Saturday night at the GTEC Community Stadium, aren't you?
Yeah. I think the GTEC's going to be really tricky because
Jordan Henderson won't be. He can't be us, can he?
It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. They're set up to counter-attack. They work in a 5-3-2, and they're going to give us havoc from set pieces. So any sort of set, they're focusing on anything this week. It's set pieces and how to deal with them. So I think it's a tough test. But look, the reality is, we need to turn it around now, don't we? You've lost 3 games on the bounce, and then this is where Slot's got to make some decisions now for the next 5 to 10 games. Does he continue and persist with the risk that he's going to slip further and further away from being in a title race, or does he alter and change and then slowly try and embed those new ideas at the turn of the year? Because now you're playing with. Does he just want to try and keep pushing and pushing until he gets what his vision is, or does he want to ultimately get points on the board? I mean, just quick question for you, Jermaine. What do you think he's trying to do with this current system and setup? Who do you think he's trying to get the best out of?
Good luck answering that one, Jermaine.
Well, I think he's trying to get the best out of everyone, really. Like I said, he's got is Isak in his British record, so he's feeling that I want to try and focus and get the best out of him. I need to. I'm not saying put the squad around Isak, but you question how comes he started over Ekitike, who's been firing since he joined Liverpool.
A couple of good glimpses from him yesterday as well, wasn't he? I felt.
Yeah. So he's trying to get him up to speed as quick as possible, and doing that, you only can do it by playing games. So he's trying to keep the same model, but obviously we've got new players in and we've lost some key players, and I think for me, he's putting his hopes all around Isak.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because what I found really interesting about yesterday was the only time we really got him in was when Canate slots a ball from about 45 yards. That was the first time we saw the Isak that we've all known of last season.
What the ball that was, by the way?
Burst forward. Yeah, okay, could have been sharper with the finish. But that was the first time I see, that he looked fairly anonymous outside of that, really. And I'm just still trying to understand ultimately where we're set to build, what the idea is, how we bring Isak more and more into the game. As I said, I feel like Ekitike acts on a whim, and when he gets the ball, he can create something out of nothing. And he had 3 or 4 chances yesterday where he got the ball over on the left-hand side, drove forward and had a shot. I mean, neither of the shots were on target or in any real...
But showing that intent is good.
It shows intent, and it gives us something different. I just don't see what he's doing at the moment.
The thing is, though, if you've got a player like Florian Wirtz, and you're playing Isak, this is where you need him.
Yeah.
Those little intricate passes, those little through balls, those, over the top. That's what Isak thrives off, and that's what the kind of player Florian Wirtz is.
I spent 3 months of the summer just imagining Wirtz getting the ball in the pocket, playing those slide through balls for Alexander Isak. He goes through and puts the ball in the back of the net. But surely the best team long term has to be Wirtz playing off Isak.
Yeah.
It's got to be the Hazard, not Wirtz on the left. Wirtz playing off Isak, surely. But yeah, and I do agree. I don't know. I thought your point's interesting. I think almost try and go as much back to basics as possible. So I like the idea. Not blaming everything on Milos Kerkez, but I like the idea of Robertson coming in for Kerkez, the left back. A little bit of experience, a little bit of solidarity. And I thought Gomez. I know Konate did okay against Man United, but I thought Gomez to come in next to Van Dijk, play alongside, replace Konate.
I thought Konate was great yesterday.
Good yesterday, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
He has been shaky this season.
It's so tricky, though, isn't it? Because Van Dijk had a poor game yesterday. Konate had a great game yesterday.
You're saying Van Dijk?
He did. He had a poor game yesterday.
Yeah.
Van Dijk overall. I think he went for a number of balls, didn't get the conviction on most of the headers. He's got to go and win them, really. And that spreads when you see Van Dijk not performing at his best. Then you're all like, oh, hang on a minute, what's happening today? So, you know, I think you see an inconsistency from a variety of players at the moment, but it's just because I don't see what he's trying to do with this current team. You know, I'll give him a bit of grace over the last couple of weeks because he's still bedding new players and he's tweaking things and he's trying things. I don't know who he's trying to build the team around at the moment. I don't see any patterns of play that fill you with optimism. It feels like almost, you know, frightening football comes on the counter attack, but that's.
He got shell-shocked. He got shell-shocked of losing 3 on a spin and then playing against Man United. He's then gone, right, I'm going to go back to the basic. I'm going to go with Grav, McAllister and Szoboszlai. Team that won is the league in that midfield. Rather than his idea of, I want Wirtz, I want Isak, I want to be expand, I want to be flowing, I want to have more assists coming from midfield. Yeah. He's gone reverted back. He got a little bit, as we all would, when things ain't going well, you go to your comfortable zone.
Revert to type.
Anna's doing a great job, isn't she, producing the show, let's be honest.
She is.
You know, I have to say, by the way, you know, Jurgen Klopp comes to England, does a big sit-down interview. I thought it was going to be on Inside Liverpool. I really thought he's going to be sat here. I wouldn't even be here. Jurgen Klopp would be here. No, he's done the Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett.
No, but Stephen Bartlett's budget might be a little bit bigger. I get it.
We got Champions League finals for Liverpool. We got a former pro boxer and Ryan. I mean, come on, you know. It doesn't
be out there.
Hey,
I tell you what, mate. I will bow down to these two.
No, I'm bowing down to all three of your knowledge. But no, it has been interesting, hasn't it, to hear him speaking. And I think one of the quotes he said, obviously, he'd never ever come back to the Premier League and manage any other team other than Liverpool. I don't know why I had in my head an image of Arne Slot winning 3 Premier Leagues and then Jurgen Klopp coming back and winning another Premier League because you'll know this, Paul, and obviously living in the city, going to the games every week. Can you try and, is it possible to even kind of sum up the impact he had on not just the football club but the city?
I think if you look at where he was before he came in, that speaks volumes, and what actually did for the club. With Liverpool, Jermaine will tell you because he's played there and he knows what it's like. It's not just the club, it's the city, obviously. Now, listen, Everton are a big club. We won't talk much about them, but obviously they have a big impact on the city. But you've got to first get the club, but then you've got to get the people, and you've got to get the city. And you've got to understand both and be aware of both. And Jurgen Klopp was very aware of Liverpool's people and its city, and he put that first as well. And that's why he's probably going to be loved for the rest of his life. Yeah. Welcome in Liverpool and never have to pay for a pint in Liverpool.
No, absolutely not. Guys, I would say it's been fun, but these shows are much funner last season, Jermaine. when we come in every Monday morning, having just stumped somebody 4 or 5 goals to 0, and we were already in parties. I don't want to point any fingers, Paul, but
I think I'm the jinx,
two Inside Liverpool shows on the back of 4 defeats. I mean, it's
what you got planned next week? Paul?
Yeah.
You busy? You busy?
You going on holiday, right?
Yeah.
Jermaine, Paul, Ryan, thank you very much. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. Fingers crossed, all being well, we'll have a couple of victories to look back on, maybe a couple of Alexander Isak goals, a couple of Florian Wirtz assists, Grav and Birch in front of the back four doing this thing, and we'll be back top of the Premier League. Thank you for watching Inside Liverpool.